I got to give a shout out. We're sitting here, we're criticizing the media, and there's someone in the media who deserves some respect, and people are not going to want to accept it, but we're people of principle. Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks. Check this out from the Daily Wire. Quote, "I was wrong. Young Turks Kasparian admits she bought into false Rittenhouse narrative." Mad respect. 100% respect.
Wow.
Disagree with her politics. I think the Young Turks have been very unfair to me. I think they've lied about me on more than one occasion. Cenk Uygur screamed at me at Politicon for no reason. When I've known the guy for years, and I politely asked him, like, hey, you guys put up a smear piece on Dave Rubin, but like my name's like in the thumbnail in the middle. And then he starts yelling at me. All of that aside, if you recognize that you're wrong and you correct it, I will give you the respect you deserve. Because if we still, if someone comes out and says, I bought into this false narrative on Kyle Rittenhouse, which is what Ana Kasparian did, and then we refuse to accept their acknowledgement, you only encourage them to keep doing bad. We tell them thank you for saying the right thing with respect, and hopefully they continue to do the right thing, do the research. Looking at these tweets from people, they keep saying crossing state lines with a gun, crossing state lines with a gun. They keep saying assault rifle, assault rifle. Wrong. These people have not done any research into this at all. And if they do, I'll give them the respect they deserve.
Well, that's big that she came out and corrected her statement, because if we remember, I mean, the mainstream media, especially MSNBC, they were calling Kyle a domestic terrorist, a mass murderer. They were using extremely hyperbolic language in order to kind of inflame this situation. There's people trying to make this about race. And again, this has nothing to do with any of that. But when it comes to this kind of salacious action, someone actually saying, hey, I was actually wrong here is very big, because the mainstream media doubled down, tripled down, and they're still trying to ignore a lot of important facts in this case. They didn't know what happened, but they still were able to declare definitely domestic terrorist, definitely a mass murderer. Again, we're still finding out all the details of the case here, and the picture portrayed here is totally different.
I saw a really funny tweet. You know who I love to shout out is Cameron Kasky. Because he seemed like somebody who was acting in good faith initially, but he's totally just lost any will to be honest. He tweeted something really funny. He tweeted, how come something, I'm paraphrasing, how come all of these centrists are so much smarter than me? And I thought it was really funny because he's being sarcastic. He's saying they're not. But I realized that's the attitude that many of these establishment Democrat types and leftists have, where they don't actually read the news. They don't know what they're talking about, but they're arrogant enough to get online and say these things. And there are tribalist individuals who are willing to retweet it because it makes them feel good inside. But when you come out and say assault rifle, when literally not a single person in Kenosha had an assault rifle, not a single person. I'm not going to play stupid semantic games. They meant long gun, not assault rifle. But saying that is factually and legally wrong. And they don't bother to do a Google search. 5 seconds to figure out what an assault rifle is. They don't even do that. They get verified, they get 1 million followers, and then they tweet, I'm smarter than you.
I prefer DuckDuckGo, but that's just a separate topic.
Right.
Go ahead, Jack.
I was thinking that a lot of these people's perceptions on this are prejudiced from the actions that Facebook and GoFundMe took very early on. That's
right.
Right? So if Facebook, where grandma shares pictures of her cats, tells me that Rittenhouse is clearly guilty and you get suspended. I don't know. They remember the details, but they did ban and censor some elements about this. And GoFundMe definitely took down his fundraiser. Well, then it must be true, because Facebook is a benign entity where my pictures of my grandkids are getting likes from all of our cousins.
Social media took people down for talking about facts of this case. So that's absolutely huge. People were prevented from having a discussion what was going on here. We only got mainstream media dribble and assertions, and then everyone else left talking about this was scared of being targeted and taken down. There's people demonetized. There's people who lost their channels. There's people who were eviscerated and deleted, unpersoned, because of even discussing the facts here.
There was a really good tweet from the Libertarian Party. I think it may have been of New Hampshire. I'm not sure. This account highlighted 2 tweets. One was from a leftist who said that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist who was hunting down civil rights protesters, which is a lie.
Right.
And the other tweet said, based on the evidence in this trial, it's clear that Kyle was acting in self-defense. The self-defense tweet got suspended, and the white supremacist tweet massive retweets.
Oh, there's this guy, Brooklyn Dad Defiant or whatever. He's got something like a million followers. Just constantly railing on this, constantly telling people
Lie.
A million followers, verified on Twitter.
Look at Sean King, dude.
Right?
These people built careers off intentionally misleading. And this has been the MO of the establishment for the past, maybe for longer than we realize, but you get Russiagate. They accuse Trump of doing what they literally did. The Clintons and the Democrats had more ties to Russia and this manipulation and lies than Trump ever did, and they put out fake news and the media helped him. Now you get Sean King, and there was that time he falsely accused that cop of abusing that woman or whatever. There's a video he put out where he claimed Proud Boys had gone out and done something that Proud Boys weren't even involved in. He just lies. He knows it, and many leftists have called him out. He's still got 1 million plus followers. He gets hired at these companies like The Intercept and the Daily News or whatever. He gets paid lots of money. Then you get Brooklyn Dad Defiant. It turns out he's being paid by political operatives. That was a big expose. I could be wrong about that, but it's my understanding at the very least that he was a paid political operative, and even leftists criticized him for it. You have a massive propaganda machine pumping out lies, making money. They're grifters. What do? They know they have to accuse us to deflect. So they'll say, when we pull up video or we pull up news articles and challenge them and show you, what's going on in the trial. The other day, we played the actual video from MSNBC and then the trial to disprove their lies. They'll claim we're the ones who are manipulating people. When Brian Stelter tells people, don't watch the propaganda, come to us. When I think it was Cuomo when he said, you're not legally allowed to read WikiLeaks, only we can.
Right.
Anyone who tells you not to seek out information is manipulating you. Because I'll tell you this, watch CNN. See what they say. Read the New York Times. See what they say. And then watch Crowder, watch David Pakman, watch the Young Turks, and watch us. Try and get as much as you can, because then you'll see through the lies. What do they tell you? Don't listen to the grifters. They're manipulating you.
Man, this is one reason why you got to be in good shape, guys, because you need stamina to withstand this constant barrage of lies, manipulation, disinformation. If you are weak, if you're physically weak, if you're mentally, emotionally, spiritually weak, you're just going to fall victim. Yeah, you're just going to be led right off the cliff away from the truth and into ways that are going to end up harming you in the long run if you follow all the mainstream narratives.
Now, I agree with Tim on some points here, especially when it comes to seeing what the larger media landscape actually looks like. But remember, after watching the mainstream media, remember to squeegee clean your third eye and try to decompress. Yeah. And, because seriously, there's a lot of trauma-based mind control and a lot of psychological tricks and dirty tricks used by the mainstream media. It's absolutely just when you watch it, it's like watching another reality. It's like watching another world, and truly you have to be very careful with what they say, because you have to fact check everything. And when you do, even with basic things that you think are common, you're shocked and surprised by just simply trying to look at the evidence yourself, what they're saying and what the actual truth of the reality is.
The difference is so stark that it's difficult to accept sometimes. Yeah. And you think to yourself, nah, that can't be possibly right. And you doubt your own perception.
They can't be lying that much.
Right?
They can't be that bold-faced.
And then when you think about what we're just witnessing in real time right now, and then you just think about all of written history, and then then it's just like, oh God.
When we had Steve Hilton on the other day, and when we were showing the video of that guy on MSNBC, I don't know his name, and he was like, Gage Grosskreutz testified that his hands were up when he was shot. And then I play the video where the defense is like, it wasn't until you pointed the gun at Kyle Rittenhouse that he fired on you. And he goes, correct. He didn't believe it. He was like, no, how could they just say that? And I'm like, the video's published after the testimony, the articles, even if the article came out right before that testimony and they rushed it, they haven't corrected it. And he was just like, I can't believe they would outright and overtly lie like that. And I'm like, I can.
I tried to tell somebody. You remember the Portland shooting where the Antifa guys shot that Jay? I forget, Jay Danielson.
Yeah, Aaron Danielson.
Aaron Danielson, and nicknamed Jay, right? And there was a guy who filmed it live, who was just allegedly strolling along the street and happened to pick up the entire thing on video, right? So I got in touch with the guy and I interviewed him and I went through it frame by frame by frame and asked him all the questions. And then I asked him why he was going to the protest. And he says, oh, my daughter got me into going to these things, Black Lives Matter. And, I just want to support her. I'm like, oh, you're a family man. Yeah. You believe in family, right? You're a good dad. You like leading your family. You like having a whole intact family. Yeah. Well, did you know that Black Lives Matter is opposed to the nuclear family that wants to, quote, disrupt the norm around the nuclear family? He's like, nah. I'm like, hold on a second. I pulled it up. I showed it to him. He read it, and his reaction was, oh, that just must be a typo.
What?
That just must be a mistake.
They did delete that.
They
from
took
the
it
site.
down.
They did delete it because it was so egregious and outrageous. But it is true. It's part of their platform. It's what they believe. And I put it right in front of him on the website, everything, and he still could not believe that he was supporting an organization that was against his whole raison d'etre
It always
of being a dad and leading a family.
drives me nuts when people say, I can't believe it when something happens, especially if you watch sports announcers. Oh, he caught the catch. I can't believe it. Like, dude, believe it. It happened. Stop telling yourself you can't believe what's right in front of you.
Right.
I think one of the big problems that we're seeing now, especially with the right, is that they keep saying things like, why would someone want there to be no justice? You know, they're like, the people who are cheering for Kyle Rittenhouse to go to prison are cheering the destruction of our justice system. Why would you want that? And I'm just like, you'd think after this many years, you'd realize that communists who scream, long live the revolution. This guy, Gage Grosskreutz, testified he did hold up his fist.
Are you affiliated? No. Did you go to their things? Yes.
No.
Did you speak at their
He said,
events?
are you a member?
Are you a member?
He said, no.
No.
But you've spoken at their events? Yes.
Yes.
So you're affiliated? Yes.
Did you chant the slogans? Yes.
Did you raise your fist and say, long live the revolution? Yes. What people need to understand, and that's what I was trying to say to Steve the other day, when you assume that your political rival holds the same moral framework and worldview as you, you are wrong. You're making assumptions. When these people say, long live the revolution, and then you wonder why it is they're lying under oath, they do not respect our moral framework. They do not agree with our moral framework. They do not respect the authority of the court, and they believe they have a right by any means necessary to subvert and destroy the system.
I was surprised when he actually admitted bicep guy. I don't like using their names. I call him the N-word guy and the bicep guy and skateboard guy. I was actually surprised that he just straight up was like, yeah, he didn't point the gun at me until I pointed the gun at him.
Well, he tried denying it at first.
But he admitted it.
He had to, though. That was what was so crazy about the testimony. The defense was like...
Even so, I still was surprised.
But check it out. The defense said to him first, you pointed your gun at Kyle Rittenhouse, and then he fired upon you. And Grosskreutz goes, no. And then he was like, he pulls the video up and he hands him a photo and goes, that's a photo. What is it of? And he's like, it's my bicep being vaporized. And he's like, and your gun is pointed at the defendant. He's like, yes. And that's when he shot you. Yes. So it was only after you advanced on the defendant, pointed your gun at him, that he fired on you. And he goes, yes. When you're showing a picture to the jury, what's the dude going to say? No. He tried that.
Yeah.
He tried.
True.
This guy has no allegiance to the prosecutor. The prosecutor's already put himself in a position where he can't criminally charge him. So he's like, that's on you. I'm not going to make myself look worse and incriminate myself. And there you go.
Dang.
I don't understand, though. That's like what's called perjury. You just lied to the jury under oath.
Yep. But this is the issue is a big difference between like hard perjury and an interpretation.
Of course.
So when he's like, you know, it wasn't until you pointed the gun, he's like, no. And then, well, here's the video. Oh, yeah, I guess so. It's very different from them. And this dude lied a lot. It was funny when the prosecutor playing the video with Gage Grosskreutz holding his gun. And he goes, so at this point, you've pulled your gun as you're approaching Kyle Rittenhouse. And he goes, no. And then prosecutor's like, here's the video we just played with a gun in your hand. And he goes, yes. Like, this dude is lying.
The worst.
But perjury almost never, my understanding is almost never gets prosecuted. And it's typically for like, were you at the bar at 2 a.m.? No, I was in Buffalo, New York. And then they find a picture of you there. You overtly lied about what you were doing, and then they might try.
Did you knowingly spy on the American people? No,
right.
not wittingly.
Yeah,
We didn't. That's James
definitely.
Clapper, by the way, committing perjury.
That's right. And unfortunately, when him and Schiff and all of these cronies went on TV and lied about Russiagate, they weren't under oath. Ugh. When they were under oath in congressional testimony, they admitted, I have no evidence. It's not true. It's all bunk.
That's one of my favorite things, talking to Cash, him pointing all that stuff
Cash,
out.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm so glad that he was on the show. What a good dude.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. all of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about. So you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.